Don't wish it away. Don't look at it like it's forever. Between you and me, I could honestly say that things can only get better. And while I'm away, dust out the demons inside, and it won't be long before you and me run to the place in our hearts where we hide. And I guess that's why they call it the blues. Time on my hands, good time spent with you, laughing like children, living like lovers, rolling like thunder under the covers. And I guess that's why they call it the blues.
Welcome to a new edition of the Wanayuki Cheese Cafe. A guy like me, the Wanayuki, specializes in wandering the streets of Montreal in search of new coffee shops, bars, restaurants, traces some of my family's history around the city, but also taking some time to do some cooking and barbecuing at home when the chance permits. And here I am coming to you on January 18th, 2025. Although when you look at the weather right now, it doesn't really look like it's wintertime just because we got a bit of a warm front coming up. And it seems like that we got 2 degrees Celsius, which means that some of the snow that we got over the last month is melting, but it's only a calm before the storm because we are going to be getting another cold front down the road. So obviously I'm going to be taking advantage right now while I can. And in today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is hitting up a Montreal classic, Liverpool House, which is related to Joe Beef, a restaurant, because I've been told it's a great spot to check out one of these days, and thought after all these years, I'm finally going to be hitting it up. Of course, going for supper is not going to be precluded, or what am I saying, losing my English. It's not to say that I'm not going to be doing any wine before supper because I still have a few hours to go before my reservation. So we're making our way on Wellington Street in Griffintown, but I'm going to go across into Pointe Sainte-Charles. And if all of this sounds somewhat familiar to you, you're kind of right. There is a bit of deja vu because I did cover these areas a couple of times on the channel last year, although not to the same extent as when I was doing my videos around Rosemont and the Plateau. Those I documented a lot, and I'm sure it won't be the last time I do that. But anyways, one fun one that I did around here was going to Brasserie de Montreal for a starter pint during my summer vacation 2023, then making my way into Pointe Sainte-Charles for it was a shrimp gaidin, and then going to the Memento Brewery. If you want to see that episode, then I'm going to put a card in the top right corner for you to watch that one. But regardless, we're going to get ourselves a coffee, do a starter pint, and then see how much time we have to kill before supper time. But in the meantime, here's my other suggestion for you. Oh, yeah. Once again, when it's cold, it kind of takes more effort to walk and talk at the same time. So let's try it again. Pull it up. Much better. Hit the subscribe button below and put the notification bell on, because that way, whenever there's a new video ready to view, you're going to get a pop-up on your phone. And give me a thumbs up. The more likes I get, the more this is promoted all across YouTube.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing.
Of course, whenever I think Pointe Sainte-Charles, one street I kind of like to revisit from time to time is Richardson Street. And I know if you go by past episodes, I have told the story a lot of times, but given the fact I haven't really walked through here in a little while, that's never going to stop me from repeating a story. Richardson over here is actually the street that my grandparents on my dad's side had to come to when they first came to Canada. Or actually, technically, when they first came to Canada, they were originally in Toronto and then moved into Montreal. So this street here was their very first street they lived in Montreal, and that's where they were when my dad was born. So pretty close to this giant building I've probably shown off before, the Northern Electric building, or Nortel, I guess, for short. So kind of makes me think back to this, and I know whenever I'm doing these videos around here, I got Aunt Sonia watching this because, you know, she grew up around here too, so kind of gives us some flashbacks to being a kid on the streets. I suppose if my dad was still here, then there is a pretty good chance he would have done some revisits around here so he could show me some of his childhood homes, like the ones I had covered before on previous episodes. Here, the Plateau, St. Leonard. For the heck of it, if you want, I'll put a card in the top right corner for you to watch that one. A deeply personal project, but one that I'm very proud of. But let's not make it all down, depressing, nostalgic. I am going to need a coffee very soon. And luckily, I'm getting close to Du Centre Street, which is like one of the main arteries of Pointe Sainte-Charles. And there's a nice selection of bars, cafes, restaurants around there. And no shortage of coffee shops, to tell you the truth. So I think we'll go in that direction. Yeah, what can I say? I'm in a bit of an Elton John frame of mind right now, but I know the mood's going to be changing as I get further along into the vlog. So this place is Cafe Bloom. I gotta say that I do love the ceramic countertop that they have over here. That's a pretty nice design. But it's one of those spots I saw on my Instagram feed because I do follow along for new coffee shops and places to check out, and that came up. And considering that it's on Du Centre Street, that means it gives me extra reason to come back over here. Because during that other Brasserie de Montréal wander, I did hit up Casse Cafe. Oh no, that's another one. Café Causé, that's a little further down. Towards the end on the Charlevoix, I hit up Go Plana, which sadly I learned that they're going to be closing at the end of January. And it's too bad because they were a great place. Polish bakery slash cafe that made their own pierogies from scratch. And I did try to support them from time to time and documented them on one of my past episodes. And actually, I do have a card for that, so I'm going to put it up, and you can revisit that when I started there, and then eventually made my way into Wellington, into Verdun on Wellington. But I like the spot. What's this? Oh, Rue Jardin, no, Garden Street. So that's that. I'm actually filming this outside because there's plenty of counter space here, and I'm not really interrupting anyone now. But I know that if this is going to be summertime, they have it more with a few chairs. They have some terraces installed, so it does get a little bit lively around here. I feel like if I want to try something different, because I know there's plenty of other restaurants around here that caught my eye, I can always come back during the summer when the days are going to be longer. But until then, I'm just going to enjoy this, and we're going to continue our wander and see where else we go. Obviously, we'll see if there's any other good stops along the way, but that'll come in due time. A little bit of trivia here. I'm right in front of what's the Clinique Communautaire de Pointe Sainte-Charles, or the Community Clinic of Pointe Sainte-Charles. It's not really too much information, except for the fact that, from what I read, it was a way to try to offer services and make the health services accessible to people in the area here. And apparently, the Quebec system, the CLSC system, was actually based on that. Funny what you read sometimes, because You go on Wikipedia, check certain boroughs, and then, or any facts for that matter, the next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole full of information. You know, lots and lots of stuff you can learn. I'll just... yes, Schoolhouse Rock. I know that came on in the 70s, but it was also playing back in the 90s and 2000s, so I'm well aware of that. I think it always used to finish off Saturday morning cartoons right after Bugs Bunny. Yeah, that's how I learned about electricity.
So turn on, turn on, turn on those sad songs. When all hope is gone, why don't you tune in and turn them on? They reach into your room, oh, just feel their gentle touch. When all hope is gone, you know sad songs say so much. Sad songs they say. Sad songs they say.
Got my walk along to Centre done, and I finally made my way onto Charlevoix Street. So I'm at a turning point now. If this is like a episode where I want to go into Verdun, I could always go south over here, because eventually that would take me into Wellington, and at the same time be able to cross the 15 and then go into Verdun. But if I was to go north, I'll be able to go back across the Lachine Canal into the Little Burgundy area of Montreal. It's a part that I told you about a few times in the past, but haven't really covered it as much. Keeping in mind that my restaurant's going to be around there, so that means I'm going to be making my way on that direction, and obviously see if I get another coffee, and especially a starter pint. Now that I crossed the Lachine Canal, that means I am officially in the Little Burgundy part of Montreal. And come to think of it, if I needed some time to kill, I do recall that I'm not that far away from the Atwater Market, a place I don't think I've really shown off as much, just sporadically in shorts, and maybe back when I was doing my jambalaya episode in 2021. Oh yeah, that's been a while, so if there's a card available, I'll put it up for you to watch it too. I don't know where my next route is going to be, but all I know is eventually I'm going to have to make my way onto Notre-Dame. That was a nice little intermission to warm up, and obviously have to use the bathroom because after a coffee it does run through you like it's beer. And funny enough, I did run into some friends over here who happened to notice I was doing a little exploring, got the camcorder on, so yeah, that was kind of funny. Kind of a coincidence too. But I guess I stand out, not just being one of the only guys walking around the streets with a camcorder, but also because I do have a very distinct look. Like, I stand out. The fedora, sunglasses, trench coat, and this luscious lock of hair. What can you do? Now, I'm back on Atwater Avenue, so I think I'm going to make my way a little further north. But I am very close to Notre-Dame, so my guess is that I could probably get a final coffee for myself before I decide to go get a beer, because there's still plenty of time. It's now, what time? 3:11 p.m. Yeah, that's still lots of time. felt like it's been a while since I explored around Notre-Dame over here on camera. I feel like that it's been a handful of times. First time I did that was making a stop in Brossard de Distran for a Vietnamese coffee before doing a little hop on this stretch of it. Remember, I checked out Ciboire, I checked out Bon Délire, and a couple of other spots. If you want to see that episode, I'll put a card in the top right corner and you can click on that one to watch it. But one thing I do remember seeing is that there are a lot of pretty trendy restaurants here. There is an onigiri place that is pretty awesome for, $4 or $5 you can get one, and it's just perfect to fill you up. And of course, there's no shortage of coffee shops around here. And in fact, I think there's one I'm going to want to go into and maybe get my final ration before, moving on to other fun rations. Refreshing. So this is a bit of deja vu from my other Saint-Henri wanders, because usually when I'm going to be finishing up having a few drinks and supper, I'd like to get a coffee for myself on the road home. Hang on, there we go, cleared up. Now, one thing that happens again when it's cold and I go from outside to inside, it always fogs up. But this is a spot that I've come to a number of times because it's still open up until 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock, and I can get a good coffee. It's Cafe Ira, which kind of feels like it's maybe a Mediterranean, Turkish, or I forget which nationality it is, but they make some good stuff here. In case you wonder what I'm drinking, it's a cortado. It's basically a shot of espresso with maybe a shot of warm milk added into here. Once again, the origin of this is Spanish. It's good stuff, but the main thing I remember from here is that you can actually get an affogato with saffron in it. Saffron itself, if you know anything about cooking, of all the spices and herbs, it's one that's kind of expensive, because for the same prices you get for all the other ones, you're probably going to be getting a very tiny amount because it's hard to come by. I mean, sure, you can find American saffron, but the reality is it's not the same flavor. That you can get excuse me, in bulk. The other ones, it's a tiny bag. What can you do? But I do like the look of this over here. There's some nice tiles with a fountain that looks like it's out of order right now. It's too bad. Nice piano in the back that takes you back to Cafe Aunja that was close to Côte de Neige Road. And it seems like it's a lot of refurbished furniture too, which I kind of like. And they also advertise this as an art gallery. Kind of makes sense considering that a lot of these coffee shops are going to be having works of art, like paintings, drawings, whatever, that's resold to people. So I guess it's one way to get your stuff on display, or even the way to sell your stuff as well. All right, so my goal is I'm just going to be sitting back now to relax. It's going to be another intermission, but then once I'm done this, we'll be getting back outside and then finally getting to my ration, the other ration. I think you know what I mean. So much snow falling right now, but let's face it, it's still in the positive degree, so that means that whatever's going to be landing isn't going to be sticking for long. Or maybe it's like a mix of snow and rain. I guess we'll wait and see. I'll find out later today if the temperature drops and we're going to be stuck with freezing rain, ice rinks, and etc. But hey, it's all well and good. I am done my coffee, and I'm ready to make my way to my drinking hole now. And I'm thinking, yeah, I have a spot in mind, something I've probably shown off before my wanders, and it also ties into some fun stories for me from the past, like pre-COVID, and I'm sure Canadian Dave in the comments section is going to be enjoying this because he knows this story pretty well. Told him many times, but it always is fun to repeat. It's Burgundy Lion, just as a heads up. So, Joe? What do you mean? Oh, well, considering Liverpool House is related to Joe Beef, And I got Burgundy Lion, thinking Joe the Lion. I suppose I'm in a David Bowie sort of mood, so why don't we cue that while we make the approach? So when you think of like classic pubs, you would probably think of McKibben's Irish Pub, Hurley's, but Burgundy Lion is another one of those that are classic, except I never really came here that much. I figured that since it's right across the street from Liverpool House, it would be a good way to get started on my activities. But it also ties into a few stories because Canadian Dave in the comments section is going to like this one. So back in the days pre-COVID, there were times that me and him would be meeting up for a drink afterwards. Okay, him and his wife would be going across the street to Joe Beef or Liverpool House for a classic meal, and then they'd say, hey, want to come join us and have a final beer and a whiskey together? And we would come here for that, except I wasn't paying too much attention to what kind of beers we were having. I do remember we did a few classic whiskeys, like really good ones. The very last time we came was after one of our crazy runs that we did from like mid-December 2019 up until the end of February 2020. Every Friday he had the itch to meet up with me, and given the fact that I was still working downtown 5 days a week, probably going to a pub on a Friday night, we thought it would be easy to get around to. So the very last time that we ever met up was, actually that very last time we met up at that run was right here. I can't tell you what beer we had, but we did have the Dufftown whiskey. And I'll admit, I ordered that whiskey just because it made me think of The Simpsons, because, you know, Duff beer for me, Duff beer for you. That's kind of where my point of reference is. And I hadn't really come back to this place ever since then, except for last year I documented it in a short. But I thought, if I'm going to be doing Liverpool House, I have to show this off for the trifecta of all of our beauties. Now, if you want to know what stuff they have on the menu, apparently they did have an Archibald New England IPA on the menu, but they told me that they were all out of stock of it. So I went for the next best thing, their cream ale, or like the Wolf Cream Ale. It's not a beer that I'm really familiar with because I've never seen that brewer before, but judging by the name, it might be their house beer because, well, actually, I'm talking too much. Cheers to the first pint of Saturday. Refreshing. Delicious. So regarding the name Wolf Cream Ale, my guess is that it's an in-house one just because there's another spot that I hit up for my birthday last year with a few other friends. So I introduced them to Brewski's Pub, that's around the old port. And then for supper and final round of drinks, we ended up at Wolf and Workman. It's a little pub that had the really good, I want to say it was like a cookie Saint Jacques or some kind of seafood dish, but they also seem to have the Burgundy Lion Blonde Ale. That's the house ale that you're going to have right over here. That it's on sale for happy hour, so it's like $7.50 a pint versus $8.50 a pint. And apparently it's the same owner, so they do make the same beers and some of the same food. I guess that makes sense because if I think Wolfman, like Workman and Wolf, or I'm actually confusing those pubs now. So maybe I got to go visit it one of these days around the old port just so I can document it and know what the hell I'm talking about. But given it's all available, it's all the same thing. I suppose that's why they have this here. Maybe it's a house cream ale, unless it's a different brewer I have to look up. But regardless, I dig it, and I'm enjoying sharing some old stories for a few friends that haven't been here in a while. I'm just a guy sitting down for a drink, sharing some stories. I mean, what more do you want me to be? Yeah, right. Today I become an old man yelling at a cloud. Or I would just be the old man telling stories in a bar alone.
Someone fetch a priest. You can't say no to the beauty and the beast, darling.
Oh yeah, just in case I didn't make it any clearer, this place also has a pretty good whiskey selection from what I've heard. I told you about the Dufftown, but I was talking to a colleague also while recording this. He said you can't come to Burgundy Lion without doing a scotch, which, you know, had it not been for the fact that I had supper plans already, I probably would have done one. But I know one of these days I'll come back for that, because I want to find out if the menu over here is comparable to N-Bar or Inwag. My guess is like Inwag is at top of the menu because it's like 14 pages of whiskeys, like 300 of them you could get, some collector stuff, and you get them for like half drams, like half ounces, and you know, it's probably the best way you could try them out. But one of these days, the only other thing I do know is that I have some room in me for another pint, because they don't have the New England IPA. I want to do something a little bit different, so I'm doing their House Blonde, the Burgundy Lion Ale. Now I was talking about Wolfman and Work, or Workman and Wolf, whichever name that restaurant is. This is the blonde that I had over there. There was Madry on the menu that I'm also a pretty big fan of, but I've shown that off a number of times on the channel, so I thought, let's do something different with their classic glass. Cheers, everybody, to round 2 and continued fun over the weekend.
Another Burgundy? Oh, you got something there?
Nice. It's a basic blonde beer, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And it is getting kind of dark right now, as you can see from the footage, but the reality is we are still in January, even though daylight is starting to creep up a little bit earlier, like a little bit earlier than expected. Wait, no. It's the days are going to be. You know, I'm kind of losing my words right now. So let's try that again. Oh, I got someone watch me from the window. Anyways, days are going to be a bit longer now as we get closer to spring, but it's still January, so it's still going to be kind of dark. It's only going to be a matter of time though until we get to terrace weather when everybody's out for the summertime. Hopefully I get to explore around with somebody else. Hey, updating my Tinder profile. I love good beer. I love good food. I like to explore around. Anyone want to do that too?
She can please her man. She doesn't use a lot to make him weak. She uses love.
here we are. First visit to Liverpool House, and it looks quite nice. I like the decor here. I like how tight it looks, so it's like a very cozy, quaint type of place. And the food menu does look like it's what you find in a lot of bistros, a lot of other restaurants. A few things caught my eye, but I'm going to take some time to sit and enjoy it. Oh, it also seems to be an oyster bar, so if people are into oysters, then they can go for that as much as their heart content, as much as their heart desires. I probably mentioned it before, but I only had one experience with oysters many years ago, and this is just like at Grumpy's Bar where they were doing a fundraiser offering oysters. Like, I feel like it was $2 a piece, and I think I did it just to say I had it once in my life, and that was it. It's not something I really go for or really go gaga for. I'm more of a steak, fish and chips, tartare kind of guy, and well, that's not to say I don't like that stuff, because I do like to experiment from time to time. And while I was thinking of doing some wine tonight, the menu for the beer is pretty solid. It looks like a blonde and an IPA. And given the fact that over at Burgundy Lion I didn't even do an IPA at all, well, I think you already have an idea what I'm doing. Now, they're just called an IPA, but judging by the look of it, this seems like it's a hazy New England IPA style. But what caught my eye is that it's from the Will's Brewery. It's one I've had a few times at home, and I know that they're located up in Mile X. So, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Mile X is that weird area around the center of Montreal, which is somewhere in between Mile End and Park Extension. So it's like smack in the middle of both of those districts. And I know that one of these days I'm going to have to give it a listen, like give it a visit. But until then, I'm going to enjoy a Mile X brew while I'm sitting down. Yeah. So this is definitely a New England style because the combination of hops and fruitiness, it's all pretty obvious in this one. Had I gone for the Archibald New England IPA and Burgundy Lion across the street, this is the one I would have had. But you know what? Better late than never when it comes to brews. Or actually, better late than never when it comes to anything in general, to tell you the truth. Very nice indeed. So this meal is looking very delicious, but one thing that was kind of surprising, which is semi-unrelated, is the fact that when I was listening to the music, I did not expect to hear some Iggy Pop when I was coming into the restaurant, because I am kind of an Iggy Pop fan. It's not very many places I've been to that play that, but hey, I'll take it. And bonus point because it's from the era where he was collaborating with David Bowie, like during his Berlin period. You know, think Low, Scary Monsters, Especially Heroes, and you kind of know what era I'm talking about. So obviously, like I said, bonus points. And as for the meal here, a few things did catch my eye, like some good fish meals. There was a beef tartare as an appetizer, but then I thought the hanger steak, aka the onglet, was pretty appetizing, and the pepper sauce. Because if you've been following me for a few years, you probably know that I don't really do steak dinners when I'm out and about. That's something I always save whenever I'm going to be staying at home doing some barbecuing and possibly cooking it at home, like in the kitchen when, okay, this is weird. Okay, there we go. It took me a while before getting some clear image because I am getting kind of fuzzy. Now, I had made this exception today because they make this in a pepper sauce with some pretty awesome fries and some lettuce because obviously, you know, you got to have your nutrients with the steak. And I'm just going to find out what this is like. So it's going to be technically my first onglet done on camera at a restaurant in a long time. Now that's pretty tender. And it looks like what they did here is that they slice up into mini tranches or little slices of it as opposed to the full steak. So I am more than okay with it. And the thing about onglet is it's very similar to bavette or flat meat steak where it's the abdomen of the cow. It could be a bit chewy depending on how you cut it because you got to cut with the grain as opposed to opposite. But when it's done well, like probably a good medium rare, man, that is a thing of beauty. super satisfying meal, I have to say. Great steak, great fries, like one of the best fries I've ever had before. And I've been to enough restaurants where I had fries. This topped it. So I know I'm gonna have to come back again to maybe try some other meals and possibly indulge in the wine menu, because it's not very often I do wine for myself, but when I do, it's for a special occasion or try something different, or with certain friends, or if I'm on a date. I don't know. We'll see how things go for that. Regardless, a lot more snow is sticking to the ground than expected. I guess it's starting to get kind of cold now. I guess we'll see it too if it starts to freeze and become a skating rink for us. Regardless, I think I'd have enough room for one more pint in me, and considering I'm close to Le Drinkery, that would be a good way to kind of tie things up to go right back into 2020, which means I covered Burgundy Lion, Liverpool House because of Canadian Dave, and Le Drinkery because that's where I did my starter pint before I ended up at Burgundy Lion. So nice way to go tie it all together and also do a callback from one of my vlogs last year. So we're going to enjoy this, and I'm just going to say thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wanyuki Cheese Cafe. If you like what you see, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the musical montages, the wanders, the stories, and the discovery around here. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, leave in the comments and I'll see what I could do. Till then, take care. See you next time. Not necessarily the snow over here, but sometimes you think can't some moments that you're enjoying, like you have a really good date, maybe just enjoying yourself, or it's Saturday, middle of the weekend, kind of want time to just freeze and enjoy the moment. I don't know, I had that Rush song in mind, so I think I'm going to use that for my closer. Time stands still for the win.
Turn my back to the wind, catch my breath before I start off again, living on without a moment to spend, to pass an evening with a drink and a friend. I let my skin get too thin, I'd like to pause, no matter what I pretend, like some pilgrim who loves to transcend, learns to live as if each step was a year. Not looking back, but I want to look around me now. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Time stands still. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Experience slips away. Experience slips away. Time stands still. I turn my face to the sun, close my